Hey guys, welcome back to day 31 of the Red Letter Challenge. Do not neglect the tithe. Money is an extremely divisive topic because how you spend your money shows where your heart is. Jesus said, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be." Whenever a Christian leader talks about money, it can get negative reactions. In fact, one of the biggest reasons people leave the church or don't attend church is the church's focus on money. I believe this for two reasons. First, some think church has no right to tell them what to do with their money. They've seen the church use it in ways that have not made God's name known. So why should they give? I was sickened by a television show called Preachers of Los Angeles, which followed the lives of 6 preachers. I don't know the preachers or any of their family members. I know that God can work through them, but it bothers me when I see preachers who have become tremendously rich. You can make any excuse you want, but the lifestyle doesn't look good for a preacher. I don't think it's what Jesus had in mind when he called us to follow him. If my money was going to someone or something like that, I wouldn't want to give. But there's a second reason we don't like to talk about money. We really like our money. Money is the number one focus in our lives. It's really difficult to separate people from something that they love so much. Please understand there's nothing wrong with money in itself. It's not money that is the root of all, but it is the love of money that is the root of all evil. Jesus tells Pharisees not to neglect the tithe. A tithe is literally a tenth. If I make $100, 10 would be the tithe. If I hear people say I tithe 5%, but you give 5%, that's an offering, not a tithe. Jesus only said one thing about tithing in the 4 Gospels. In Matthew 23:23, "What sorrows await you, teachers of religious law, and you Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are careful to tithe even in the tiniest amount from your herb garden, but you ignore the most important aspects of law, justice, mercy, and faith." You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect more important things. Jesus talks a lot about giving, but not much about tithing, because of that, some pastors don't teach of the importance of tithing. But the practice of tithing goes all the way back to Abraham. From the beginning, God's people have returned the first 10% to him as an offering to show that we fully trust him to provide for us. If someone were to look in your bank account, would they know you are a follower of Jesus? You cannot truly go all in for God if you cannot trust God with your money. I believe in our nation, tithing could possibly be the number one indicator of abiding in faith in Jesus Christ. I haven't felt this way in my entire life. In fact, I've recently struggled in this part. I remember the first time I had a considerable amount of leftover money. Rather than buying something important or putting it into my family's future or giving to God, I gambled it. I snuck behind my family's back to do it. I was studying to be a pastor, and I wasted thousands of dollars. I don't know which was the bigger problem, the competition of gambling or the greed of always wanting more, but I failed miserably and had to repent. I have found out personally that God can give you complete victory in parts of your life that you once found so difficult. He can redeem what once was broken and turn it into one of your biggest strengths. Now, when I take a spiritual gift test, one of my top 3 gifts is generosity. In fact, last year when I did my taxes online, my tax was shown a high risk of being looked at because my charitable contributions were way out of the proportions for the amount of money that I made. I'm proud of that. God has redeemed me and made me a generous person. And I'll tell you something else. I've never regretted giving any of my dollars to the church, and you never will. If 10% was required by law, then how much more should we give now that we do it for God's grace? I believe that the tithe is the starting place, not the finish line. There are a lot of things to do to follow Jesus the way he wants us to do. But follow Christ's command today. Don't neglect the tithe. Thanks, guys. This has been the Red Letter Challenge.